SharePoint Content AI is really awesome. But before we can get into the fun features, we need to learn how to configure pay-as-you-go billing in Microsoft 365. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode, part of the Ultimate SharePoint Content AI series. So far, we have introduced SharePoint Content AI. We have learned how to use the M365 assessment tool and learned, is Content AI even worth it? The answer was yes, if not, we would not be here right now. But now we are at a very important step where we need to learn how to enable all of the different features that we will talk about in this series. Without this episode, we're not going to go very far. And this is why in this very important episode, I'm joined by Microsoft MVP Gokan Ozcifci, who's going to make sure that I tell you the right things and also share a lot of his knowledge on how to configure it properly, especially for big enterprises. Okay, first of all, let's talk about why pay as you go. So my funny answer is because Microsoft decided so. So if you want any of the features, you have to configure it. This is a Microsoft slide, by the way. This is now one of my slides. I stole it from the M365 community conference. And the way that Microsoft puts it is, many organizations are scared to invest $30 per user per month, 1 year commitment for AI features. And they're afraid that they're going to buy the license and nobody's going to use it. With pay-as-you-go, you only pay for the stuff that gets used. Of course, if you use it a lot and it's very successful, it's also going to cost a lot of money. But it's a fair way that you know exactly that you're going to be billed depending on how much you use. Gokan, back in the day when you were one of the first people to start with content processing, content AI back 3 names ago before the renames. We used to have a syntax license. That was it $5 per user per month?
Something like that. Yeah.
It was like $5 per user per month. It gave us a lot of benefits, but I think some people tried to game the system where they had a service account that they would do everything under. And other people were complaining that I don't want to buy it for everyone. So pay-as-you-go was the balance that Microsoft did. Now, what services require pay-as-you-go? And the list here is quite big. Almost everything that we cover in this series, basically. Some of them in this series are free, but they still require you to set it up. And there's also some features that are not part of this series that require it. So Microsoft 365 Archive, Microsoft 365 Backups, SharePoint Embedded, and even if you want to enable agents for people that don't have a Copilot license, all of this is configured the way we will show you right now. It's one configuration for all of them. Now, you will need a few things before you get started. You will need an account that is either a SharePoint Online admin or a global admin. That's the first thing. A second thing, an existing Azure subscription in a resource group, or maybe your account having the permissions to create that subscription. There's a third thing, Gokan, that I forgot. Your credit card.
It's the most important
Yeah,
thing.
so make sure ping Gokan on LinkedIn or on X and ask him for his credit card information. That's the third item you need. I didn't have it on the list yet. And it's very easy. 3 steps only. First, you'll go to Azure and create the subscription and the resource group. Or if ever you're not the one doing it, get that information from your Azure admin. You'll need to be an owner or a contributor on that Azure subscription. Then we'll go to the M365 Admin Center. We will configure the pay-as-you-go settings in there. And finally, we get to pick and choose which SharePoint Content AI services we want and where we want them. We might not want to enable all of them in all our tenants. We get to pick and choose. Shall we get started, Gokan?
I think so, yeah.
Awesome. And if you ever try to do it without having access to any Azure subscription, I don't know which guy named Vlad tried it, but you basically cannot go very far. So that is the first step. So what I'll do now, let me go to wrong tenant here. So what I did, first of all, in Azure, I created this subscription here, pay as you go for M365. You'll see that my role here is an owner. So just created, for those of you that have Visual Studio subscriptions, MVP, MCT, or maybe your employer gives you a Visual Studio subscription, you cannot use it. It has to be a pay-as-you-go. That's why even me and Gokan as MVPs, we're lucky we have a Visual Studio subscription, but we still have to pay for those out of our pocket. We cannot use that budget in there. So just wanted to tell you right away before you try to use that and you have a broken heart. After that is done, let me actually just go from the start here. Gokan, you probably know the URL by heart. There are two ways to get it. Either you search pay as you go here, you wait for a few seconds and you go to, no. Did you see this? The other one appeared as soon as I clicked. It's activate pay as you go services and then click on get started. If not, Gokan, what's the other way that people can get?
Or you can go to setup.
So setup right here.
Yeah, just make it open setup. Yeah, and then just like the last option. It's still loading. Yeah,
Wi-Fi, it's getting there.
It's like what the activate pay as you go.
Under billing and license says activate pay as you go, brings it to the exact same spot. So both of them are good. Let's get started. And then I have here Syntax Services. Again, the old name. Microsoft loved it so much, they don't want to get rid of it. Let's go here. And now I need to enter my information. Let me select my subscription. You see, I have the only one I have access to, pay as you go M365. I need to have a resource group. I created one, PayGRG, pay as you go resource group, since we're using acronyms everywhere. And then let's select the region. I will put it in the East US. Great. Now, of course, we all read all of those details. We didn't ask Copilot to summarize it for us. So we accept everything, and then we will click on save. You know, just by doing this, there are the features. We talked about them in the previous video, but you just activated a bunch of features that are free. Annotations, content query, content query. They do not cost anything. All they require for you is to have pay-as-you-go billing set up. You can go turn off everything else after and never pay money. As long as this is set up, you have them. So while this is done, let me talk about the next topic, because it can take a few minutes. We'll give it the time it needs. We then need to configure the Content AI services. So what you will do is you will decide what services are enabled, what services are disabled. You will also decide for some of the sites, do you want OCR, for example, enabled on all the SharePoint sites in your tenant or only on some of them? Maybe you might not want to have it on all the sites. This way you can control costs, only on the ones that have a business justification. And then there's a few other settings that are service specific. For example, in the next few episodes, Gokan will teach us about the Content Center. Well, you can configure it from here. Let's go back to the lab here. Let's see if it did it. Again, I don't know why I keep opening the wrong browser here, but it's okay. You see here, billing setup for Syntax Services, Archive Backup, and SharePoint Embedded is now completed. For agents, Gokan, if my memory serves me right, you're going to see another option here. So, but it's at the same spot. So now we need to go for every service. And again, this is all stuff we're going to cover in the series. But let's say for autofill columns, by default, you see they are on. So I can decide if I want to leave it on or off. Of course, I could turn it off if I want to. And then later on, I can turn it back on. I can also say, you know what? Do I want to enable it on all the sites in my tenant? Only on selected sites. And here you can upload a CSV file with your selected sites. But really important, only up to 100 sites. Now, I don't know about you, Gokan, but I wish we had more. Or I wish I had, SharePoint Advanced Management now has those nice filtering where you can do all the sites were this sensitivity label, or all the sites with this template. I really wish I had something more intelligent.
I call it intelligent filtering. Like if I have a site that starts with finance, or if I have a specific a name convention, that I can just filter on that and just not a CSV file, or even have a UI where I can just select the sites I want to include or exclude, would be amazing. Like CSV feels so.
And don't get me wrong, you can CSV with PowerShell, right? Because this is an admin-focused tool, so you can always get SPO site where whatever property equals and put it here. But for me, it's the limit of 100 that I wish it was bigger, but what can you do? It's Microsoft, I'm sure they're going to add more sites so we can spend more in the future. I'm joking. I love you, Microsoft. But anyway, or you can decide no sites at all for this feature. But again, if you do no sites, you might as well turn it off. But those are the options. And again, you have the same option for autofill columns, for content assembly. For some of them, however, content assembly here, you need to be careful because it can be all SharePoint sites or none at all. So you have to be careful for that. Some of them also, and it's really important, in the sake of time, we're not going to go through all of them, but optical character resolution. Yes, I wanted to show you this one. You see, I have the SharePoint libraries where I can select all selected or no sites, or I can also say for OneDrive for Business. So again, I might say as a company, I'll enable it everywhere in SharePoint, but nowhere in OneDrive, or maybe only Gokan's OneDrive because Gokan requested it. So for some of them, you can choose selected SharePoint sites. For some of them, not. For some of them, you have SharePoint and OneDrive. And for some of them, if we go to pre-built document processing, you see I have my default content center. We're not going to go deep into this because Gokan will tell us all about it in the next videos, but you have certain settings in here. So remember, you have documents and images. You also have videos. One of the last videos of this series will be about video translation, on how to translate the transcripts. So we have videos here. Storage is your archive and backup. We'll have another series covering those, but it's another topic, more for admins, as well as apps for SharePoint embedded. So it's really important that after you enable pay-as-you-go billing, you go in each service and configure it the way you want to. Gokan, how are most of your clients configuring it? Is it enabled for everybody, or is it a bit more pick and choose?
I have to be honest, it's disabled for all, and then they open it slowly but surely. So we always have like a team of 10, 15, 20 people doing stuff, and then we get the results on it. How is the adoption? What is the ROI? How was the consumption? And then we'll learn from that, and then we move to 100 people, and then we probably will open it to the whole organization. But it's all about ROI. I open something, autofill, content assembly, e-signature, and so on and so forward. And then we look like, okay, within 30 days, what is my ROI? What did I get from it? And then we either go all, or we just leave it closed.
That makes a lot of sense. And you start with nothing, you enable it, test it out, and see which ones are worth it, which ones are not for your company. And again, excellent point. You can do pilot projects with this as well.
We have IKM champions, so we have people who really know how to do content management, and they love content types, they love management metadata, they love search, and then they just, I'm not going to say play around, but they have POCs, like...
Yeah, proof of concepts, MVPs, things like that.
There we go. And then we just learn from them and see how we will go forward.
That is awesome. Okay, now you're probably wondering, I only have one slide here, reporting. Right now, I'll be honest, this image that you see right now is for the future. So you don't have something fancy like this right now, but Microsoft is working on a lot of stuff. I'll share with you a resource a bit later in this video on how you can see the future, but let me show you what we have today. As you can see, Microsoft shareholders love me with my expenses and everything. This is how much I spent in, this is actually a production subscription. So you can go into subscription. On the left, you can go to cost analysis. And you can see the service name here is Syntax. So again, Microsoft loves the name. I'm sure it's going to change to something else in the future, or maybe we're going to have broken down by autofill columns, things like that. And you can, of course, see the location. Remember, I chose US East earlier in the demo. Here, because it's my production tenant and I'm Canadian, I have it in Canada East. So those are the reports you have. It's not much, but Gokan taught me something really interesting the other day. Gokan, if you want to talk about it, I'll click.
Well, yeah, you can go on cost alerts or, like on budgets. What we also do is we have alerting on our budgets. It's like an Azure functionality, nothing really to do with content AI, but you can definitely tell like, hey, don't spend that amount of money on that. And then you can just give, a limit, and then people will just spend that on. We did that in our first, we give them like $100 for a month, and then they can just do their MVPs with that. And I really, not gonna say beg you, but please look at that functionality and give them the right amount to spend on, because if you leave it like unlimited, well, people can do a bunch of stuff and they can get very hallucination things and do like a bunch of things within your credit card. So use those Azure functionalities to limit the spend.
So you see, I did one in production because I didn't have one in production, Gokan.
Okay.
It's not good. So I did one called Don't Spend Too Much.
And your budget
every billing period, my budget is $50, and I have an alert when it reaches 80%.
That's exactly what I also tell to my customers. 80% is you get your alert, and then you can see like if the ROI is very good and they've been achieving a lot, and we'll discuss this, but if they're being filling like metadata and if they're adding some tags on images and things are getting seriously, well, I can bring that to $200 and they can just continue with that.
And 1 month it might be big because you just enabled this one cool feature and you had to run it on 1,000 documents. So 1 month it might be big and then it will stabilize.
Slowing down.
But those are, right now, all of the settings you have are in Azure. We don't have anything in the M365 Admin Center. However, that will change. So in this video, I'll give you just a quick preview. On my YouTube channel, and this will be linked in the description below, on my channel, you'll have a video with a project manager directly from Microsoft that covers everything that's coming in 2025 for pay-as-you-go. But still, you're here, I want to give you the highlights. So the 4 things that we care about: multiple subscriptions and scoping expansion. Now, Gokan, for me, this has been the biggest blocker. The nickname for this, by the way, for everybody is departmental billing. Right now, you saw I only added 1 credit card, 1 subscription for everybody. But in big companies, you might want to bill back to the HR users, the finance users. This way, it's not IT that pays everything. Today is only 1 credit card. So that is coming.
I remember all the discussions we had, you and myself, about departmental billing and how capital it was to be able to charge back to those departments, knowing how much they consumed and how much they owe us. So that's phenomenal.
Like, that's a need. That's absolutely needed. Then we're going to have the ability to set limits on spend inside the M365 Admin Center. So that's cool because we're not going to need to talk to the Azure people anymore. We're going to be able to do that only in M365. We're going to be able to set enforcements and maybe say, hey, you know what? For this policy, like your backup, even if you spend a limit, do you really want it to automatically turn off backup? Not really. You might want to let that one go. But maybe for autofill columns, which we'll learn about soon, you might want to block it. Or maybe for marketing, you can block it, but not for finance and HR. So we're going to have a lot of flexibility on what we do. And we're also going to have visibility on budgets and see, okay, you use this much this month, 1 month you're under, 1 month you're over, but still give it a budget for the year and then see how's it looking and have a forecast. Again, I'm doing a very high level one because I have a 25-minute video that just covers the future, and I don't want to repeat everything in here, but the future is looking good for pay-as-you-go. It's something Microsoft is investing in, and they're going to make it easier for us admins, luckily, to be more efficient and to enable it for people. Gokan, now something that I want to teach people. Your favorite subject, I know, is licensing. But let me search Syntax pay-as-you-go pricing. And I know I put here Syntax, but that's how Microsoft still calls it. So what can we do? One of your questions you're probably going to have right away is, Vlad, I'm enabling it, but how much does everything cost? In every video, we'll tell you how much the feature we talk about costs. But if you want to have an idea right away, we'll have this link in the description of the video so you can find it easily. However, you're going to be able to see for each type of pay-as-you-go service, how much does it cost. So autofill columns are half a cent a transaction. Content assembly is 15 cents a transaction. E-signature is $2 per request. So you see, like, when you were thinking about half a cent or $2, yeah, e-signature, you might want to lock that down even more, So you have this resource here. And why this resource is important is because Microsoft loves to change stuff. Microsoft loves to change licensing. We're recording this, and you do see the data at the bottom of the screen right before the end of the Microsoft fiscal, and Microsoft loves to change stuff every fiscal year. So I'd rather point you in the right direction where you can always get the last info than tell you information that might be out of date. So always go check the latest information over here. Gokan, any final best practices or things you want to share for pay-as-you-go?
I could talk hours, but I would really say don't be scared. Like, I know organizations from every time when I talk to them, they're scared about, hey, we don't know how much we're going to spend. And we love when we know this is our budget and so on. And, like, they know if they go for Copilot as an example, they know it's like $30 per user per month. If they're like 100, okay, they know the price. With pay-as-you-go, it's not the same. But don't be afraid. You've seen the price is all about pennies and cents. And yes, Vlad made a phenomenal point at the start. It's going to be maybe high, but then when things are getting done, it's going to slow down. I would say don't be scared. Go for it. Test it. You can set limits, alerting. Pay-as-you-go is getting a V2, so you will get more reporting, more insights. And all the AI features are all related with pay-as-you-go. So if you want to get all of it, the best of SharePoint, well, it's all linked with pay-as-you-go, I would say.
I wouldn't know what to add to that. You covered it all. So on this, I can't wait to get into features with you all and deep dive into all the amazing features. We're done with theory. We're done setting up. It's finally time we go test the features. So on your screen right now, you'll have the next video in the series that we're going to cover content extraction, the first type, because there's multiple types available. So on this, if you like the video, make sure you like it, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.